Hello, my name is Martez Loren, and this is my weekly vlog. I think I'm at 7 weeks on testosterone, and guess I'm recording changes that I've noticed. My voice does this, like, I guess, up and down. Sometimes it's low, sometimes it's high, sometimes it's cracks and it's deep. One thing I've noticed is that, like, I work at a school, and I often sing like children's nursery rhymes and that kind of thing. And I've noticed lately that it's harder for me to reach, I guess, higher notes. I've noticed my muscles growing. Specifically, my forearms feel really big, and my biceps, and like sometimes my pectoral muscles, I can feel those kind of flexing, or I don't know how you describe it, but like I can feel my muscles being bigger. I haven't really been working out like I should be. I do a little bit here and there, but not enough to be substantial. I did notice that someone did ask me a lot of questions on my last video, and I didn't really address that. So today I'm going to address the questions that were asked of me on my last video. First question was, do I go to therapy? No, I'm not seeing a psychologist or a therapist of any sort while going through transition. I haven't really felt the need to. Like, I haven't gone through like unnecessary bouts of depression or like manic feelings or uncontrollable emotions. I mean, I guess if I was to go through some of that, I'll probably feel more inclined to seek therapy, but no, I'm not doing therapy. Another question was, am I in a support group? And I was like, no, I'm not. I don't do any group support. I just kind of I have a couple of friends who are trans on both sides, trans women, trans men, and I talk to them about my experiences, but I haven't actually joined a formal group. How did I tell my girlfriend? Funny story with that. She kind of called me on it before I called her on it. Just knowing me in real life, I guess looking at me, I guess I look a lot more feminine, but when you get to know me, I'm not very girly. And it was kind of obvious for her, especially once people became intimate, that I was trans. And she asked me, she was like, are you trans? And I was like, yeah. And this is before I had started testosterone, like a year and some change ago. So, does she still consider herself a lesbian? Yes. I would never ask her to consider herself anything other than a lesbian. If questions are ever asked, that's none of anybody else's business. Like, I don't have issues with her considering herself a lesbian, even if I'm a trans man. So people have this habit of, when they know someone is trans, asking about what goes on in our pants, essentially. Now, one thing I will express is that I do intend to get top surgery, because if you know me in person, I'm very heavy chested. So I intend to get top surgery to get a complete mastectomy, which is both my breasts coming off completely and getting my nipples realigned and that whole thing. But I'm not going to answer any questions about what's in my pants. I feel like that's very intrusive and personal. If we are going to be intimate, then maybe that would be a discussion we would have. But if we're not going to be intimate, or if you're not someone who's actually going to see my genitalia, I think my genitalia is none of your business. Also, she asked if my weight affects my transition. I would say no. I haven't heard that, heavier people have harder transitions, or bigger or small people have hard transitions. What I will say, though, is that it will probably benefit anybody who's transitioning, I guess, from female to male, especially, to work out a bit, to define muscle groups, to, I guess, if you're trying to achieve a certain look, then you probably will want to work out to help your muscles come in the way you want them to come in, or achieve a certain shape. Let's see. Oh, so if you didn't know, my name is not legally Martez yet, but I'm in that. I've just begun that process of legally changing my name. I'm not gonna tell you what my name is. If you know, you know. If you don't, then most people tend to call me Marty anyway. But yeah, at work, that's how I deal with that. Um, with the name change, the question was how I deal with that at work. Well, at work, I work with kids, so they call me by nickname, call me Marty. And with my degree, um, when you do get a name change, you can request that your university changes the name on your degree, just like you get your name changed on your social security card, your bank accounts. Everything across the board has to change. I changed my email recently. You can request those things to be changed. So even once I am done with the process of getting my name changed, I can always go back and ask them to change the name of my degree. So kind of how if you got married, the same kind of idea. Change your name, same thing. Does my insurance cover this process? Yes, my insurance does cover a portion of this, and that's not all across the board thing. Some insurances cover it, some insurances don't. I checked on that before I actually chose my insurance. Going on to HRC's website helped me out with that. HRC has a list of insurances that cover trans services. So if you are a trans individual or you know someone who is trans and they're looking for insurances to cover the process, the transition, surgeries, they should probably look into that list and it goes by state, and hopefully they can find something that works for them. That's where I found mine. I have Care First. Is it expensive? Yes. As a general statement, transition is expensive. There's monthly re-ups for prescriptions, and if your insurance doesn't cover that, it gets more expensive. Some types of hormone therapy are cheaper than others, so I guess pick what's best for you. Oh, so about the name things. She asked me, for my friends and family who are not on board, do I answer to my birth name? No. No one calls me by my birth name anyway, even before this process. No one calls me by my first name. They just, either it's a nickname of some sort, or no one calls me by my first name, though. By my given birthed first name, no one calls me that. So anyone who was to start that now would be doing it as a means of disrespect. So no, I would not answer that person because I feel like they're being an asshole. As far as friends maybe it's not on board, pretty much everybody has said whether has been on board, and if they're not completely on board, they are not obstinate. Like no one is purposefully not going to address me how I want to be addressed. No one is hell bent on just proving a point that, oh, I'm gonna call you what I want to call you, because I don't have those people in my life. I don't have that kind of circle, which I guess I'm blessed. Do I feel like a disappointment? That is a question that I've asked myself a couple of times. I am a dominant presenting person who has a biological female body and frame, whose mother is an AKA. And if you are African American and or affiliated with any type of African American Greek organizations, you know that those people are usually more feminine. My AKAs are usually very feminine and girly, and of course, me being myself my whole life, I've kind of always felt like a disappointment. So like this would not be like a new thing. Like I've always been intelligent, I've always been well spoken, I've always been destined to be a college educated human being. I've always been someone who's on the right side of the law. But as far as feeling like a disappointment, I've kind of always felt like a disappointment because I never was quite, I guess, what a daughter should be. And I never really let that affect me though. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's my life, and I have to live it the best way that I know how, and what makes me feel comfortable, what makes me feel like me. And being a prissy girl with long flowing hair just never really suited me. So I guess that's answers that question. Am I afraid to transition completely and then one day magically I want to be a girl? No. No. I've actually never wanted to be a girl ever. Like I no. I've never really embraced being a female ever, and it was one of those things where I grew up just always hating being called a pretty little girl. Always felt so awkward and misplaced being called a pretty lady now by random men on the street, because that still happens to me. It's uncomfortable having random dudes inbox me on social media and tell me that all I need is this or all I need is that, or try to impress me with talking to me about how pretty I am and oh no, I do not want to be a girl now. I never wanted to be a girl ever. I very seriously doubt that in the future I'm like, oh no, I so miss being a woman. And to me, there's never been a positive about being born biologically female. I've never seen this as something that I was going to miss. Yeah, I can't say there's anything about. I think I'll miss the interactions that I've had with other females, and having that shared connection. I guess like there are certain comfort zones that women allow you into when you also are biologically female. So I guess I'll miss that aspect. But as far as my personal body, who I am as a human being, what makes me feel like me, no, I really can't say that I'm going to miss being biologically female at all. Um, I think that was all the questions that I have for today. Um, one thing I do want to make sure is certain and clear is that I am going to continue being myself. I think that a lot of people have questions about, oh, when you transition, are you going to do this? You're going to do that. As stubborn and as passionate as I've been about everything in my life, about standing up for who I am and other people and being on the side of the little guy, always gonna be that person. I wanted to speak to any youth that watches my videos. I know I'm not very popular so far, but if anybody who is a youth person who is trans or LGBT in any way, you can talk to me. If you know me personally, if you know anybody who knows me personally, get in contact with me. If you need anyone to just talk you through it, suicide is never the answer. Hurting yourself is never the answer. There are so many people who are on your side and are willing to fight for you that you don't have to do that to yourself. But again, I understand it's hard, and we all have our days where we just don't know if we can do it anymore. Take it from somebody who's been there, who's been on that road, down that path, and it's not the way. As much as it seems hard now, I promise you it gets better. And everybody says that sounds so cliche, but there is something so freeing about being able to be yourself independently of anyone else's opinion of you. And for any youth people that watch my videos or are looking for something in themselves, don't let anybody else tell you who to be. Don't let anybody sway you on being who you are. As long as you're happy, you're not hurting anybody else. Be yourself.